We would like to thank our sponsor, Island Savings. Island Savings, a division of member-owned cooperative First West Credit Union, provides banking, borrowing, and investment services for residents and businesses across Vancouver Island and the Southern Gulf Islands. Island Savings brings innovative products, an extensive branch network, and local decision-making to the banking experience.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Business Matters presented by Island Savings, a division of First West Credit Union, where we delve into the stories and insights of leaders and change makers in our community. I'm your host, Rob Capello, and today we're joined by Suzanne Cole. So thank you, Suzanne, for joining me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. So Suzanne is the Executive Director of the Burnside Gorge Community Center and Association, both? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Where you provide support services to children, youth, and families throughout the capital region. So we're going to dive in and learn a lot about Burnside Gorge. But before we do, I'm curious, how long have you been with Burnside Gorge?
Well, actually, next October will be 30 years. I have been.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Not always as the executive director. Yeah, I started when I was like 12. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's right. So what are the different roles that you did when you first started there?
I started working frontline as a youth and family counselor. It was one of the first sort of community-based school youth and family counselor positions. So working when Burnside Elementary was an active elementary school, working with the kids, the students there and their families, and then sort of building bridges between the families, the community center, and the school. Yeah.
So what led you to like that opportunity? Like where if you take us back 30 years ago, like what got you into actually Burnside in Gorge in the first place?
I had just graduated, so I was working on my degree for the 3 or 4 previous years before that in social work, and had been doing some volunteer work in a fairly old agency called the Victoria Association for Street Kids, and was volunteering my time there, and just really knew that working with children and youth of all ages. And then I had about 3 jobs at one point. So doing some contract work with families for the Ministry of Children and Family Development, doing frontline work with kids who were street entrenched, and it led me to a part-time position at Burnside Gorge Community Association. And that's where I realized that, you know, working with the children and the youth was great and I loved it, but working with the families as a whole was really where I wanted to be, because the sustainable change for me, for kids, was dependent on sort of the whole family. So
when did you get into the executive director role? Like how long before you kind of moved into that role?
So then I sort of, you know, we grew. When I started, there was only 4 of us working at the agency, and then my department grew. So then I became sort of a team leader of a very large. We started doing high-risk parenting programs, and lots of parent and child drop-ins, and so we did early childhood. Our youth department grew to holding outreach workers. So then I started team leading, and I was very happy there. Very, very happy. I loved that job, and I loved being connected to the front line. And then our executive director, Dean Fortin at the time, became the mayor, and he had to step down as the executive director. So I did some soul searching and decided to throw my hat in the ring as executive director, and leave and turn over the reins to somebody else. So, and that was 2009. I became executive director.
Oh, so you've been in that role for a while then.
Yeah.
Interesting. So what does you said you loved your previous role. So what is what does executive director role look like? What is sort of the capacities that you handle, and what does, a typical day look like or week look like for you?
Well, I think every executive director's first answer is we're looking for money. That's what we
Yeah,
do.
fair enough.
Yeah, so first and foremost, making sure the organization has the financial resources to do what its mandate is and do what it's set out to do.
Okay.
I have a absolutely amazing management team that guides not only policies and procedures, and they head up departments and do all their own team leading. My job is to make sure they have everything they need to do their jobs. So again, financial resources, reporting, donor relations, yeah, just sort of the overall, let's get functioning. And of course, working with the board. We are a community association, so there is a lot of community development. We have land use committees, and so it's more than just being a social service organization. We're also accountable to the city in terms of, reporting back on community meetings for developments, new developments in the neighborhood, which there are a lot of.
So you have a lot on your plate.
Yeah, it's a big, our organization is really diverse and really, it has a wide continuum of things that we do, not just for the Burnside Gorge and surrounding neighborhoods, but we have a lot of regional programs that serve people throughout the CRD. So it's quite large.
So why don't we dive into that a little bit? What are some of the services that are provided through the center and association?
Yeah, so if we start at the younger end of the continuum, we do early childhood development programs. So we have a family center where parents can come with their children and go engage in arts and crafts and attachment-based programs. We do a Thursday night community dinner, free community dinner every week. And then that gets attached to like seasonal. So we just did a big Christmas dinner and then Thanksgiving and all of that.
Got it.
We also do family development programs. So parents who just need to talk to somebody about parenting, or generally the theme lately is financial struggles. How to make need, how to, connecting people up with resources. We have a high-risk parenting program. We have a fabulous program that's regional that is called our Family Self-Sufficiency Program, working with families in subsidized housing or market housing if they have a BC housing subsidy that goes with it. Right. For the long term on asset development and financial literacy. So setting financial goals, personal goals, and making action plans to meet those. It's an incredible program. We have 2 outreach workers that do nothing but work with families who are homeless or at risk of being homeless. We have a large childcare department, so we do before and after school care for both Tillicum School and Quadra School. So we have about 6 different sites that operate for those 2 schools. And we are opening January 15th. We're opening a 3 to 5 daycare. So wow, you got a lot on the lot of services. And then we do all our community development. We do a lot of recreation programs. Our seniors programs are really taking off. So we do, yoga, Zumba, all of those types of things as well, and hold 3 or 4 big special events a year, where the whole community can come out and have some fun or do something. The last one we had was the shoreline cleanup. So that happens in September, where everybody comes out and cleans up the gorge. That's really, and then we did a big Santa's pancake breakfast. Fun. That's great. Yeah, it's I'm sure I'm forgetting. We also have school-based services. So we have lots of school counselors located in some of our local schools that work with the students in the schools. So it's quite a diverse, and some youth outreach. So working with kids who are struggling with their mental health and
Right.
Other barriers that they might have.
So you mentioned like obviously there's a focus on, I'll call community, but you also have programs that are further reaching. So how far do you reach? You mentioned like how far do some of the programs and outreach programs go?
Yeah, so because we, so to speak, are the only game in town for some of these,
Right,
like
right,
our family self-sufficiency, our youth self-sufficiency, which is
right.
working with youth coming out of care or living independently, and our homeless family outreach program, we serve all families throughout the CRD.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, anybody who requires that service, there's no boundary.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, we even get calls for our homeless family outreach program from folks leaving other parts of the province or
Right.
coming from Alberta. And
Right, okay.
yeah, so we do
Interesting.
get calls all over, but the majority of folks are somewhere within the capital region.
So you mentioned obviously financial homelessness, like those are, obviously challenges that are being faced in all
Yeah.
communities,
Yes.
obviously. But what are some of the, maybe is there other ones, are there other challenges that you're seeing that the community is facing, and how you're potentially addressing them? Like, and maybe homelessness and financial are the topics that we should be talking about, maybe those two. So
Yeah.
how are you guys addressing them or helping through that?
Yeah, I think financial covers a large
Yeah, fair enough.
portion, and that really speaks to cost of living here. Food security is huge.
Right, right.
And we have some super great partnerships and donors. Burnside Gorge is one of 10 neighborhood houses located across the region.
Got it.
Part of the coalition of neighborhood houses of Capital Region.
Okay.
And we're all, great donors like Island Savings come in and support all of us to address food
Right.
security. And it seems like due to the rising cost of living, high rents,
Yeah.
people are struggling in a whole bunch of different areas. And definitely we're seeing food security is one of the biggies. Because once you pay your rent and once
Right.
you make sure you've got hydro and all of those things, now what, right?
Yeah. Interesting. So you mentioned one of your focuses, funding. Are you funded both from, say, public and like is there government grants and funding plus private Island Savings donations? You got both sides?
Yeah, so we are we have provincial, federal and municipal grants and contracts.
Okay.
So we cover the government spectrum.
Yeah.
And we also go to a lot of foundations, the same ones that a lot of the nonprofits,
right,
Victoria Foundation, United Way. So a lot of foundations grants, private donors, smaller foundations that are very targeted in
right.
what they want to fund, and community donations. Like the community is amazingly generous, and it's so nice to see. And people have very specific, programs, or they just want to help support fruit and vegetable bags for families. So or they want to help children stabilize in community, so they want to help support rent and things like that. So we couldn't do what we do without all those levels of funding resources coming into play.
And do you have a volunteer side to that as well? Like, is there so there's a donation, but is there opportunities for people to volunteer, and is there I'm assuming that's a big part of running the programs and as well?
Yeah, there's definitely, we have a lot of volunteers, especially because we run so many big events. So we rely on volunteers to help out with those events. We have some great weekly volunteers that volunteer at our seniors lunch and learn, or at, we used to have before COVID, we used to have a lot of people coming in and wanting to volunteer at our reception desk and just
right
phone and we have people that help sort. We have a big resource room with clothes and food, and we have a great volunteer who makes sure that stays organized and all of that. So yeah, we in terms of our the counseling end of things or the program end of things, there's fewer opportunities just because of the nature of the business, but we do so many different things that we can definitely find places for people to, if they want to volunteer, we will find a spot for them.
Interesting. So you've been there for a while now, and I'm curious, is there any stories or impactful moments that really stand out for you on how the center association has really made an impact in the community? Like, and I'm sure there's lots, but is there anything that sort of comes to mind if there's a program that you were part of the kind of launching that really is near and dear to your heart, or is there anything that kind of stands out?
Well, I mean, I was part of launching most of the programs that are here now. I think one of the most special to my heart is our high-risk parenting program. We call it the Connects program, and it's a program for parents to really dig in and work hard on getting their kids back from government. So it's when people make big changes, and our family self-sufficiency is the same way. They're making humongous changes, and we're there for the long term to support them to make those changes. And you start to realize that we can do everything we can, but to sit and watch people work hard and get themselves to a very different place in life and be successful, and then come back to our happy programs and with their kids and enjoy the pancake breakfast as a family where they didn't do that a year before. It does really make you go, 'cause this business can be hard. It's but those are the moments that you go, oh yeah, that's why we do this. This is why we do the work we do. And even something as small as we, through a partnership with one of our donors, we received an opportunity to provide tickets to the Canada-Australia soccer game, women's soccer game. And the emails that came back and the pictures from the kids, their first opportunity to see a live soccer game, and the parents were just absolutely over the moon to have this opportunity to share this experience with their kids. And it's those connections, like being able to knowing people so well to make those connections, to give them, when we get opportunities to share with them, we do that. So yeah, that was a very recent one that stuck in my mind. But
and the things that we take for granted too, right? There's things that some people should say take for granted. So I mean, there's most of the families we work with would never be able to afford to take their kids to a soccer game like that, or they even if they have them enrolled in a soccer club, it's either they've got a subsidy or put everything they have into that. So that was a pretty special moment. That's cool.
And our family self-sufficiency is a 3-year cycle program. So at the end of 3 years, they do a journeys booklet. So they create a booklet of every participant's story on how they went over 3 years.
Right.
the personal successes and the financial successes and where they were and where they are now.
Yeah.
And reading those stories, oh,
Huh. Yeah, yeah.
is, you're so proud of
Right.
work that gets done, and you're like, yeah, okay, this is a great program. It's moving people forward and they feel successful. And when they feel successful, it's amazing.
So that I'm curious, like you said, I mean, it can't be, you got both sides, I think, from, it's not easy seeing what you see, but there's also the other side where, yeah, you see the looks on the faces and the stories about that you're making a difference in people's lives. So, where does that come from you, and how do you stay motivated and passionate about what you do? Like, how, what gets you up in the morning? Where's that motivation come from and the passion come from for you?
I think my team, honestly. And one of the best parts about working in a nonprofit is there's not a lot of red tape.
Right.
You can find the money to do something and you see a need, you try and go meet it. And I think the team that works here is very good at bringing ideas forward to say,
Right.
we've been doing this program this way and it's not meeting the needs anymore. We need to change it, and we need to do this, and we need to do a better job of meeting those needs. And I think that's what drives me anyways. And I think a lot of people to stay in this work is that you've got some control and you've got some avenues to make real change for
Right.
people. And it's super meaningful. Yeah.
So what from today, just what is the biggest need for you guys? Is it funding? Is it always funding? That's never going to change, but is there other things that like, yeah, you're like, we just need more money.
Yeah, it's well, and it's not so much like sometimes it's okay to be like, okay, what we're doing now is really good. Let's stay where we are. We don't need to grow anymore. But it's because funding is either a year long or you're constantly just trying to is just close the loop and make sure we can keep doing what we're doing well. So that's just the nature, I think, of the business, until someone magically says, oh, you're doing great work, we're going to fund it all.
Yeah. Well, and things change too, like needs of the community change as well, where you need potentially extra funding because you don't want to stop programs, but you just might have to add new ones, right? And that's a constant evolution, I would think.
Yeah, it is. And being able to find, so there might be a need in the community and you need to find money because you want to address that need, which, we do have a few of them. There's some programs we'd like to start up, but finding that money and finding what avenue are you going to get that money. Is there a funder out there that believes in what you believe in? Like, they think it's worth it.
Is there alignment? Yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes that can be a bit difficult if it's not the trend to, there's definite trends that happen over the years I've seen with funding. It's a big right now, food security, mental health, like all those things that everybody's seeing. And years ago it was other things. But I think the toughest is when you really see a need that needs to get filled, and you're just trying to figure out how you're going to do that. And but that's where creativity and
and relying on your team and I mean, I could see that as well. So where's the vision for, like, where's the future, I should say, have in store for Burnside? Like, is there anything sort of on the agenda that you can speak about? What's the next 12-18 months look like? Is there anything new that we can let people know about?
So in the last year we've done a lot new. We're opening a daycare. We just a year ago we opened a thrift store
interesting
on Burnside Road. And it's fantastic. Burnside,
that's excellent.
So next, I think, is we are one of the partners, this one of the smaller partners, there's a brand new residential complex going up in behind Burnside School.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Pacifica housing build. It's a fantastic project. It's in partnership, school district's going to have, the school will have a piece of the bottom
Right.
floor, and will be opening 3 more childcare facilities. So an infant toddler, a 3 to 5, and another out of school care, to try and address all the childcare needs. So that's coming in the next, couple of years, year and a half. So
lots on your plate. You guys have a lot on the go. So kudos to you and the team, because I know it's not easy balancing, changes in community, delivering the services and programs, funding, all that. So kudos to you and your team for that, for sure.
Thank you.
Well,
I'll pass that on to the team.
yeah, there you go. Well, thank you for sharing, having a discussion with me today, sharing your journey, what the impact the center's had on the community and continues to have, because I know there's a lot of great stuff. And, say if there's people interested in learning more, they can go to your website. It's burnsidegorge.ca. It does a great job of outlining all services and programs and what you guys do. So, but thank you for spending some time with me today and learning more about you and the center and association.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate
No problem. Excellent. Well, thank you, Suzanne. If you're a listener and you've enjoyed today's episode, please do leave us a review and share the podcast with your friends. And for any feedback, please reach out to us directly. And until next time, thank you for tuning into Business Matters and have a great day.
We would like to thank our sponsor, Island Savings. Island Savings, a division of member-owned cooperative First West Credit Union, provides banking, borrowing, and investment services for residents and businesses across Vancouver Island and the Southern Gulf Islands. Island Savings brings innovative products, an extensive branch network, and local decision-making to the banking experience.